Welcome to Stress Reset. I want to start off today in the exact same way that we did. It is beautiful. I want to start off today in the exact same way we did on Wednesday. I want to invite you to just get comfortable. Find a chair, find somewhere to sit, and get comfortable. If you were with us on Wednesday, you know that how we are diving into and approaching Stress Reset is a little bit of a diversion from how we have done it the last 2 cycles. I wanted to make this one move a little slower, go a little bit deeper, and really create some context around stress and why we get stressed, why these tools work, and what is the vehicle in which we should be in or can be in to make them work. Meaning the magic is not in the tools. The magic is in the ride or the exploration or the curiosity around the tools. Again, so often we enter into these classes, these courses, these sessions, and we think, okay, the teacher has given us 20 different tools and I need to do all of them in order to achieve some magic outcome. And that's just simply not true. Instead, it is a re-education of what is it that we're looking for as an outcome from these tools. How do you know and I know and we know together that we're on the right scent, that we're on the right trail, and we're moving in the right direction with the tools and the strategies that we're using? So, question of the day is, what tools, strategies, protocols, practices do you use to help with stress, anxiety, nervous system disruption, trauma, dysregulation, however it is you like to think about it, because we're really talking about the same thing. We're talking about threats to our nervous systems, threat to our survival, whether they're big or little. It is the same thing. This class is going to run highly interactive from today until the end of this. So the more we utilize the chat, the better I get. Something that I'm really, really clear on as a teacher is that I like to be in relationship with my students. So the more feedback you give me, and again, maybe we're going to put the I don't want to answer, I don't want to be seen, what if I'm wrong stuff to the side, because if you have a question, if you have a response, guaranteed a bunch of people are going to have the same question and the same response as you. So if you could drop in to the chat, what are some of your strategies, tools, things you do to help with stress, trauma, anxiety, nervous system disruption, threats to yourself? And if the answer is, I don't have any, that would be a perfectly logical answer, because we are not taught how to be in relationship with our stress. So far we have take a walk and deep breathing. Essential oils, beautiful. Cry, walking barefoot in the brush, love it. Magnesium, yes. Exercise, breathing and affirmations, pray, love it. Pet my cats, yes. I usually take a deep breath and say, okay, great, wonderful. Thank you all. We're going to keep going back to these, because so many of the tools and the practices we have explored in the past, and so many that we're going to really deep dive into over these next now 5.5 weeks, have everything to do with taking a lot of this stuff that you are actually already mentioning, some of these internal body wisdom, some of these things that you're like, oh, when I feel this, these are my go-tos. They are implicit strategies you have developed over time, meaning unconsciously, somewhere along the line, you have picked up the habit of using prayer, essential oils, walking, crying, whatever the case may be, to help you regulate yourself. And my question is always, what happens when you are in a space, in an experience, in a moment where you cannot cry, where you cannot take your shoes off and walk in the brush, where you cannot drop into the magnesium or the essential oils? What then? So how do we take these implicit happenstances that you do and make them explicit tools? Things like, what from it can we derive? What can we distill so that you can make it that the feeling you're after from crying, or that the feeling you're after from being outside, or petting your animals, or conversing with a loved one, that feeling, that experience is inside of you and resourceable no matter where you are. Because it's not in the tool, it's not in the petting of the cat, it's not in the essential oils, it's in how all of that makes you feel. So if we can take and become really aware of those things, we can anchor into that felt sense, that felt experience more often than not. And the tools we explore along the way are different flavors. Maybe you like vanilla, maybe you like strawberry, maybe you like chocolate, because not all of the tools are good for everybody, but there will be some tools along the way for everybody. So I wanted to create that little bit of context to add on to what we were talking about on Wednesday. And if you miss these classes, no big deal. You can always, if you're very curious, jump back in when they make their way onto YouTube, which will be in a few short weeks. So all of the information is there for you. You can come and join us at any time, but we are going to work kind of sequentially. This week in Move Lab and in Stress Reset, we're really tackling foundations. And the foundations of what is important with the stress reset is acknowledging that it's not about these tools. It's not about breathing. Breathing is actually really good for some people, and breathing practices, structured breathing practices, are really good for some people and really bad for some people. Some people really love essential oils and some people hate it. Some people love cats, some people hate it. Magnesium can go both ways in the body. So there are a number of different things that can go good or go bad, and it's all up for you to decide which things are going to work best for you. So let's start with a little inventory. I want you to get used to the practice of taking a personal inventory. And what I mean by that is get comfortable. Sit in your chair, sit on the floor, on your bed, wherever you are right now, and notice your body. And explicitly, notice your feet. Notice your legs, right leg versus left leg. Notice your pelvis. Could be the rear, could be the front, could be the hip joints. Just notice the pelvis. Notice your belly and your low back. Notice your chest and your rib spine. Notice your shoulders. Notice your right hand and your left hand, your right arm and left arm. Notice your jaw, eyes, head, neck. Notice the totality of that. Now, if you picked up on, well, let's even before we go there, notice somewhere in your body that feels especially good. Maybe it feels especially spacious or settled or calm. Maybe it feels warm or cool, depending on if you like warm or cool. Notice somewhere that feels enjoyable and good. And then instead, notice somewhere that feels less good. Maybe it hurts. Maybe it's congested. Maybe it's less spacious, tight, tense. And then notice somewhere that feels neutral. I know it's usually the hardest one. Somewhere in your body that feels neither especially good nor especially bad. It's just there. And the reason I want us to get into these practices, because this is really the foundations of stress reset, is because so often when I teach these classes, what I hear from students is, I don't have that, I don't know how to pay attention to my body. I don't feel anything. I don't know what you're talking about. And the fact of the matter is, you actually do. You do all the time know how to pay attention to your body. I'm not going to buy it from you because you know how to pay attention to your senses. If I said, do you like art? What kind of art do you like? You already have a vision of that. What kind of music do you like? You already have that. So you are acutely aware of visual stimulation and of auditory stimulation. And all I'm asking you now to pay attention to is the kinesthetic the felt sense of your experience. And we're not asked to do that a lot. In fact, we're asked exactly the opposite. At 5 years old, good girls and boys were taught to not pay attention to their impulses, to wiggle, to move, to use the restroom. At 5 years old, in kindergarten or thereabouts, you were taught, good girls and boys, sit still and pay attention to the expert in the front of the class. And it's just been repeated, repeated, repeated. So of course, you don't know how to pay attention to this. Matt, I'm letting you know that you can. In fact, if you paid attention to something that felt good, and if you pay attention to something that feels bad and neutral, you now realize that you can pay attention to your personal experience of moment to moment in a multitude of different ways. Depends on which lens you want to look at. Now, the pain thing jumps up to the top of the ladder, jumps all the way up to the upper floors, because that pain stuff is designed to keep us in survival mode. Our nervous system is uninterested in good feelings and bad feelings or anything. We're interested in surviving. So how do we know we're in survival, in positive survival? It's when does it feel spacious? When does it feel like I have choice? When am I in relationship with my own body and with other people? That is the scent we're after. That's when you feel good, when you have that freedom, that liberty, that choice in your life. So whatever that feeling was as you explored it, like however you recognized good feeling in your body, that is what you're after in these practices. Maybe it feels like spaciousness. Maybe it feels like warmth or cool. Maybe it feels like nighttime or daytime. There's lots of different words that could percolate up from that. But that's what I want us to be after today. And we've already had the first tool. How in any moment can I pay attention to the thing that feels bad? And then choose to pay attention to something that feels good, and then choose to feel something that feels neutral, neither good nor bad. It's that simple and that difficult. It takes practice. So let's jump into a breathing practice we explored on Wednesday that we're going to repeat in a lot of different ways. We're going to start off with physiological sigh. And as mentioned, we're going to take things a little slower, dive a little bit deeper. How I want to structure this is we're going to have a thing and we're going to talk about it for a little bit afterwards so that you have an understanding of why and what with these things. So physiological sigh, something we covered a lot in the previous two explorations, previous 6 weeks, and we covered on Wednesday. It's double inhale, 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 exhale, inhale, inhale, exhale. We're going to do 5 of them together. Ready? Inhale, inhale through the nose. 4 more. 3 more. Last 2. One more. Explore your body. What do you notice? Did anything shift? Did anything change through that practice? Now, the physiological sigh is something that you don't have to buy into. It is got it right in the name. It's a physiologic response. Anytime we have a chance to devote time and energy to a breath practice, our nervous system hears that and goes, oh, the world, the environment must not be that threatening because you had an opportunity to pause whatever you were doing and practice breathing. Devote energy, brain space, body space, time space into breathing. So the proverbial lion cannot possibly be in the room right now because if it were, you would not have time to breathe. You would just move. You would be out of here. So any pausing and breathing really, really helps. Physiological sigh is something that our bodies do naturally when we shift nervous system states. When we go from dysregulated to regulated or regulated to dysregulated, we shift breathing states. We do the physiological sigh naturally when we sleep. If you watch babies sleep, they do this. If you watch your pet sleep, they do this. We do this after we cry all the time. Think about it. You're crying. And then you know it's time to stop. And what do? Physiological sigh. So all we're doing is taking that inherited organic body wisdom and we're making it an explicit tool that you can do all the time. Now, some of you don't like that. I guarantee it. At least one or two of you is like, I don't want to do the physiological sigh. Great, just do a breathing exercise. Just breathe and listen to yourself breathe. Now, I want to take some of the things that I saw come up, some strategies, implicit wisdom strategies, and make them into tools. One of my favorites is I go outside. I go outside. That's one of my strategies. When I feel stressed or anxious, I go outside. And there's a lot of science around why that is. Let's first talk about how to make that a tool. Dr. Stephen Porges, who created Polyvagal Theory, fancy term for how a model for how your nervous system works. One of his top tools is when you are feeling stressed, anxious, dysregulated in some sort, wherever you are, pick yourself up from where you are and move locations. Because the body then has to reorient itself to the new location. So if you are in bed feeling anxious and disrupted, if you're in your office chair feeling anxious and disrupted, if you are in a conversation feeling anxious and disrupted, literally pick yourself up from where you are and change rooms. If you're in bed, go to the living room. If you're at work, this is one of my personal favorite strategies. If you're at work and you're feeling anxious, disrupted, stressed, traumatized, whatever it is, take yourself into the restroom, lock yourself in a stall, and just be there for a moment because the body has to reorient itself. Best is if you can go outside. And if you can't go outside, just look out a window. But if you can go outside, what happens outside is so important. We are seeing things, we are hearing things. There is a natural organicity for our own body to be outside in nature. So pick yourself up and move. And if you can move outside, even if it's just a window, you will re-regulate, you will reset your stress. Another one that I saw come up, and I've already mentioned it, is petting your cat, petting your dog, whatever it is. What that is a release of oxytocin. It is the same thing as when we hug each other. And I'm not talking about that like real quick little hug. I'm talking about that prolonged hug. And it's really, really difficult right now because we are moving through a pandemic. We are moving through isolation, which is dysregulating our nervous system. So as good as it is for viral, as good as it is for the pandemic to distance ourselves, it is horrible for our nervous system, which opens up a whole bunch of other stuff. But how do we shift that? If you have a dog or a cat, I want you, next time you're petting your dog or cat, to not just pet the cat or dog, but pay attention to how you feel. What does your body feel like as you're petting that cat or dog? Because next time you're stressed, done over time, petting and paying attention, petting and paying attention. Next time you're stressed, you can simply think about your dog or your cat, and your nervous system will re-regulate itself. Because the nervous system hears and understands that, oh, here is this thing that we're used to, and this is the nervous system state that belongs to it. Maybe why we're stressed in this room is really not going on because we have time and space to devote to feeling a certain way. So right now, I want you to just even think about something. Close your eyes, keep your eyes open, sit in your chair, and I want you to think about petting your dog or cat. If you don't have that, I want you to think about holding a child, holding a baby. If you don't have that, or that's not your jam, I want you to think about holding hands or embracing a loved one. And if you don't have that, I want you to think about being on the couch with your best friend. And it's that best friend, the one you feel so safe and confident gossiping with, the one you feel so safe and confident complaining about your spouse, about your work with, that you can let down your guard and be with. It's the same thing. Petting your dog, giving a hug, sitting on a couch, complaining, gossiping, same exact releases. And you can just simply close your eyes and think about that. And your body will begin to re-regulate. Here's your homework. whatever you've just thought about, whatever scenario, you need to be doing that more often. You need to be petting, hugging, being with people more often and paying attention to, how does that make my body feel? What am I noticing in my own body as I do that? So that when I recall and resource and anchor into that feeling, my nervous system is much more clear on what it is it's trying to pull out of it. So I can change places, I can do a breathing thing, or I can simply anchor into an experience. I can anchor into relationship with people. Now, I saw some really beautiful things on smell and sight. We're going to cover that. We're going to have a week all on senses. So we're going to get there. I'm just going through and looking back on some stuff before I move forward. Good. Comfort food. Yes. Beautiful. All things to help you settle in. So moving forward, with all of that, what are some generic ways that our nervous system begins to regulate itself? Well, we're going to tap into some things that we've already begun to sort of play with. Let's go back to changing locations. Here's something to do once you're in your location. It's called orientation practice. This is one of my favorites, and no matter, I can't move past it. That's the thing with these tools. You're not ever going, it's not like, well, now I need a new lunge because that old lunge isn't doing anything anymore. It's like, you're never going to get better than these tools. Orientation looks a whole lot like this. Sit, be comfortable, be still, and then just begin to look around your space. And instead of doing subjective viewing, which is plant that needs watering, furniture that's out of place, clutter, you're going to do objective viewing. You're just going to go door, window, plant, table, mirror, whatever you're noticing. And I invite you to soften your gaze, soften your eyes, just sort of be there. In fact, let's take a sidebar for a moment. We'll get right back to the orientation practice. We'll cover this next thing more in senses, but let's go there right now. I want you to pick something in your room. Could be a painting, it could be a plant, it could be a spot on the wall. I want you to pick whatever it is, and I want you to stare at it. I want you to effort and really, it's like Superman laser focus, and you're drilling into whatever it is you're looking at. And notice how you feel there. Notice what comes up for you. And then instead, I invite you to dilate open your vision. And what other words around that might be, maybe begin to look out of the periphery. Maybe soften your focus and receive the room. Your eyes don't have to effort to look. There's not a muscle that makes you see better. It's like the world is, the light is coming to you, and your eyes and your brain are making sense out of that. You don't have to work to look. You receive what you're looking at. So dilate it open and notice that. Then stare at the thing again. And then dilate open and receive the room. Stare, receive. Now, if you're like, I don't feel any difference, James, that's fine. This is a muscle to work. It's a muscle to flex and figure out. So maybe that's the practice for you. As you go back into orientation, rather than looking and staring for things, receive the room. It's like, oh, here I am. If you are an art museum lover, it's like you're in a beautiful museum receiving it. If you are a forest or a jungle lover, receive the forest or jungle. If you are a desert, wherever you are, whatever you like, just like, wow, look at that. Look where I get to be right now. You're just sort of intaking whatever it is. Now, as you look, something in that space is going to spark curiosity, joy, interest. I want you to fixate on that and receive that. Notice how it makes your body feel. And maybe that becomes an anchor in that space. Like when I feel stressed in this space, I look for that really beautiful thing. And I notice how it makes me feel. So that way, when you pick yourself up and you go to a new location, if you're stressed, you go outside, you are intaking the space. Oh, look at me, I'm in a new space. which is like a level 2 thing. I'm stressed, I'm just gonna pick myself up and move. Great, level 1. After some time, I'm stressed, I'm gonna pick myself up and move myself to a new location and orient to that new experience. Maybe even do some breathing. Maybe even be there with that. Now, physiological sigh. Inhale, inhale. Something for you to tether into and remember. It's a tasking breath. Steps 1, 2, and then 3. Or you could just go, I'm going to do as little bit of an inhale as I can and as long of an exhale as I can. How little inhale do I need to feel nourished? How long of an exhale can I possibly take? Quick, nourished inhale, sustained, supple, soft exhalation. Which one do you like better? Which one will you take with you? Physiological sigh, or that soft inhale, soft exhale? They do really, really similar things. Okay, then petting the cat, petting the dog. We already got that as homework, right? What I want you to do is pick someone or something to spend some time with this weekend. It could be the dog, it could be the cat, whatever, and just notice how that makes you feel. Like I said, you can tether into that. Now, if you don't have access to that, you can watch a movie that creates in you the feelings you want. That's why, again, these are all things that we do implicitly. Oh, I need a movie night. I need to just zone out. No, there's a reason behind that. Your body is craving some nutrients from that. It needs a laugh. It needs a cry. It needs connection. It needs that memory. It needs whatever it is. So spend some time with someone or watch a movie or listen to some music that is going to evoke in you a very specific feeling, a feeling connected. Some really foundational work that we can be doing all the time. Now, I want to end with some stuff that we covered on Wednesday, some really generic stuff. Moving and shaking, because that has been here a number of times. We saw, I go for a walk, I do exercise. Really, all of that is a general thing for moving. I mobilize, I move. We, in our society, in a Western society, when a baby is crying, we assume it needs sleep, it needs changing, it needs food, right? Like those are the things that we go to. I heard a long time ago that in African countries, and I think this is beautiful, another one of those options is this baby needs movement, because movement is a nutrient for us. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs to go to the gym, everyone needs to run, because there's different flavors of movement, but certainly movement, moving our body, is one of the ways in which we metabolize stress. And we'll be exploring how-tos more through this, but really simple. Pick your hands up, put them by your ears, and shake. Shake, 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 shake. Let it shake your body. And then relax. And just notice, oh, I was in movement and now I'm not. And so my body's now going through a natural come down, a settling, a down regulation. So much of our previous 6 weeks, because of where we were at in all of this, have been about down regulation, calming, settling the stress reflex. But that's not where all of us are, especially as we transition into winter months. So many of us have seasonal affective disorder or general depression through the holidays, or we're just so overwhelmed now that now we're just in a depressive state. So some of what we will be covering is how do we now ramp up? How do we get out of that slump, that dorsal nervous system thing where I just can't move, I'm frozen, and actually prepare ourselves for projects and work, right? So shake, 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 shake. And instead of, I want you to shake, 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 shake. It's like you're getting yourself pumped. And then look around the room. Look around the room, look around the room, look around the room. And it's a very different feeling. That's what I'm saying. The magic's not in the tools. It's in how you resource the tools. And that feels like a really important thing for this first foundational week. How am I utilizing these tools? Because I can shake, 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 and move, and sink, settle, feel supported. Or I can shake, 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 get up and go. We see it in athletes. We see it in animals. Your dog gets up, it shake, 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 shakes, and then it goes. It doesn't shake, 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 and then relax back down, right? So thinking about over the next few days, am I going to use a breathing thing to help me? Am I going to use changing of spaces? Am I going to use relationships with people? How am I going to use movement? What do I want to feel like? What do I want to get out of these next few weeks? What am I going to take with me? How am I going to understand, contextualize, library and resource what I'm going to be gifted? Thanks to WHA, thanks to this program, what you're going to be gifted over the next 5 weeks. How are you going to savor that and make sense of it, right? So thank you so much. I will stick around for some questions. And over the next 5 weeks, we're going to dive into a number of different strategies, more tools, less talk, more tools. But I really needed in this foundational week to get it into you why and what we're looking for, because the tools honestly don't matter. Scrolling through Facebook is as good of a tool as breathing. If your Facebook feed is filled with babies and dogs and beautiful things and people you love, scrolling through Facebook is horrible. If it's things that are triggering you, things that are inciting you, right? So there's no good or bad tool. It's how am I using this? What am I getting out of it? So I'll stick around. Thank you so much. Can't wait to spend the next 5 weeks with you. And I appreciate you. Bye, everybody.
We appreciate you. Thank you so much, James. I got a lot from that today. And definitely when I am away from my dogs and I'm feeling stressed, I just close my eyes and I imagine loving on them, and that helps to calm me down. So
I was just working with a client earlier today and sharing a similar thing. What the technical term around that is anchoring. I'm anchoring into a memory or a feeling. And I said, I'm someone who doesn't like the dentist. That's one of the few, like doctors I'm fine with, dentists I don't like. And years ago, before I knew anything about nervous system stuff, it was not even my dog I would think about. It was my mom's dog, because she had a Labrador, and it was just like one of those, like, I'm just gonna smushy face and relax. And when I'd be in the dentist's chair, I would just think of her, and I knew that I would feel better. So anytime I would go to the dentist, I would just immediately close my eyes and just picture her image in my head and just feel my nervous system relax. Now I have language around it. Now I know why it works, but it only works if you can tap into the feeling, right? It's not like pick a dog and think of a dog.
Right, you have to tap into the feeling. And so I'm wondering, do you know, so I've researched a little bit like why it feels so good when we love on our animals, for both us and our animals, is because it releases the chemical oxytocin into our brains. Yep. So is that a chemical that helps to dampen the nervous system response if it's heightened?
Yes. So what is often going on with that? Because oxytocin is a really interesting thing. Oxytocin is really only released when we are in close proximity to things we love and we're socially bonding.
Okay.
So the sitting and thinking about it doesn't release the oxytocin, but the oxytocin is what creates the bond when you are with someone. Now, oxytocin works really in close proximity with things like dopamine and serotonin. And what you are releasing with that is serotonin, because dopamine is like dopamine is released when we're looking for things outside of ourselves. Serotonin is released when we're looking for things inside of ourselves, is like the simplest way I can put it. Okay, so you're actually getting a serotonin release, and so much of our depression and pain medicines are serotonin medicines. Right. So you're releasing your own medicine into your body.
Right. Got it. Oh, I like that. Releasing our own medicine. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we had a lot, I don't know if you had a chance to read through there. We had a lot of comments.
Yeah, really great comments. Thank you.
So Thank you for that interaction. We appreciate it. But we hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will see you next Tuesday for Move Lab and for the next 5 weeks for both classes.
Yes, thank you. I'm just reading some of
Yeah,
these
go
comments.
for it.
It's great. Thank you. Jasmine, I'm with you. We have a soak in the tub under the water sensory deprivation. That is one of my go-tos. I do that all, like, just enough, just like, yeah, I love it. That is one of mine. Thank you all so much for this. I appreciate it. Great.
Great. Awesome. Thanks, Raymond. Have a good weekend, everyone.
Thanks, Raymond. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.